Okay guys, so here we go. So I went back to the drawing board and I did the same thing I did when we were doing the curtains. I put together this little I hate shadows. I'm trying to get rid of the shadows, guys. I put together this little written instructional for you to use so that you'll have an idea of what you need to begin your project, what materials you'll need to begin your project. I'm also going to try and get a still image. I took a picture so that I could post it so that you won't just have to keep referring to this video I'm taking while I'm talking. Okay, so we're sewing oven door hanging dishcloths. Okay, remember we're making 2 dishcloths, so the measurements that I'm giving you is for 2 dishcloths. So what I did is they're folded usually when you buy them from the store. Okay, and remember I showed you in the first video the dishcloths that I'm going to be using, which are these. Okay, and the ones that I pick measure 6 by 14.5, so 6 across by 14.5 long. That's the measurements for the dishcloths that I'm going to be making for my kitchen. Okay, now the fabric that you'll need is approximately 10 by 10 inches of fabric. So here's my fabric, and what I did is if you guys are sewers and you have excuse me, some scrap already in your house, just pick out a piece of fabric that measures approximately 10 by 10. I say approximately because to get to the precise measurements was just too much, and you can always use the extra if this project you like it. When we're finished, you can make more. So what I did is I tried to get fabric that blended in with my dishcloths, and of course this black was what got me, and black once again is my favorite color. So what I did was I grabbed some, this is like a kind of like a silk fabric, and this is like a velour fabric. So the velour is going to be the fabric that I'm going to attach to the top part, and the silk is going to be the hanging part with the buttonhole. So I think that's going to look really pretty. So basically this is my fabric. I'm going to cut it to the 10 by 10. I don't really have to because we're going to make patterns, but I'm going to cut it so that it's as small as possible. As you can see, I've already kind of cut it. I'm trying to show you a full picture. Yeah, I've kind of cut it already to smaller pieces because I had a really big piece of scrap, but scrap fabric, but I didn't need it all. So basically your fabric is going to be the 10 by 10 inches of fabric. So your top hook, I'm sorry if I'm moving too much, the top hook of the dishcloth measures approximately 6 by 4. 6 is the length, 4 is the width. And here, let me show you so you'll know where we're at. So 6 is this part approximately, and across is 4. And of course we always give ourselves a 1/2 inch seam will be sewn on the width, which is the 4, and then the length is 1 inch will be tucked inside for the length. And when I say tucked inside, because this is actually going to be sewn, I believe it's sewn as one piece. So when I do it, I'll actually show you guys how we're going to get this in, and if not, I'll explain how we get this attached to this part. Okay, so that was just the measurements for the top hook, which is also where, as you can see, our buttonhole is gonna go. Okay, so then the bottom attached to dishcloth measures. When I say attached to dishcloth, this is the bottom, and it's attached to this part of the dishcloth. So this is your dishcloth right here, and this is the bottom part that's going to be attached, and we sewed a button on there. But that part measures approximately, I always say approximately because sometimes you know you don't use all of the fabric that you cut, you're just giving approximate measurements. So I did 7 by 3.5 with approximately 1/2 inch seams all around. And when I say 7 by 3.5. I took, this is the 7 that I'm talking about. I told you guys I'm not really good with this video thing, but I'll get there. So this is the 7 we're talking about right here. I gave it 7 because I'm going to allow for a 1/2 inch around each seams. And if you look at this, you can see finish is almost 6 inches, and give or take, because your dishcloths may be a little wider. So you're going to have to take into account that if your dishcloths, if you remember, my dishcloths are 6 by 14.5, so this will work for my dishcloths. So I'm actually going to give it a little extra to make sure that they do, because if you look at this, you can clearly see that these dishcloths are almost exactly the same in width. Okay, so that'll work. So your bottom part of your cutting will be 7 by 3.5 with approximately 1/2 inch seam sewn all around. So we're going to give a 1/2 inch when we sew these edges right here. That's the seam we're talking about. And then the button, the bottom hole is determined by the size, the buttonhole, I'm sorry, don't pay me any mind. The buttonhole, that's a U. The buttonhole is determined by the size of the button you will use. And remember, you're going to need 2 buttons if you're going to be making 2 of these over the oven door handle dishcloths. Okay, so 2 buttons. And if you don't remember too much of anything else, please remember this: you have to make, when you make your patterns, cut 2 of everything. So technically, if you're making 2, you should be cutting 4 of everything, because remember, we're going to sew this together and this. So this is actually 2 pieces, 1, 2, and then here 1 and then 2. Okay, so I'm gonna go. Oh, and one thing that I forgot to tell you guys too, another good thing to do is marking chalk, because when we cut our patterns with our tracing paper, we can actually just draw around it and determine how we're going to cut. So I'm going to go and get that set up and then come back. Please take the time to visit my website, Busta Wraps, BUSTAWRAPPS, BustaWraps.com. Thanks God, guys. This is video 2. Thank you. Bye bye.